Hello, my name is Jack. Finally, help with problems of the mind, such as thoughts of suicide, addictions, horrible disturbing memories, thoughts of revenge, obsessive thoughts, etc., etc. The list goes on and on. We are the soul. We were linked up with the mind as we came down to the earth. We also have the brain. The mind and the brain are not the same. The mind is a wonderful servant, but a bad master. The mind is a bully. The technique I'm about to share with you is hundreds of years old. My mind beat the heck out of me for 20 years until I learned the technique about 16 years ago. Now my mind gives me a bad or negative thought or emotion 3 or 4 times a week. When I get the negative thought, I use the technique. It takes just a few seconds and the mind problem is over. Very many people around the world believe that their negative, bad thoughts or emotions are who and what they are, and there's no escape. That's not true. We are the soul, not the mind. Every year, 800,000 people around the world commit suicide. Every day in America, 22 military veterans commit suicide, which amounts to 8,030 a year. Every year in America, 1,100 college students commit suicide, which is an average of 3 a day. Many of the people who commit suicide are being tormented by their minds, and they think that if they kill themselves, it will stop. That's a false belief, because you can kill your body, but not your soul. A person can stab himself in the heart, his body will fall down dead, and his soul will step out of his body. One of 2 things will happen that I know about. Either the person's soul will step straight into hell, or his soul will be an earthbound spirit similar to a ghost for as many years as he was meant to live physically. It could be 10, 20, 30, 50 years or more. The person who committed suicide is forced to be around the people and places he killed himself to escape from. He can see and hear them, but they can't see or hear him. He's totally trapped for as many years as he was supposed to live physically. There's no escape. If a person has to go to hell, it's not forever. God distorts the person's sense of time. It may seem like 100 years, but only be 1 year. Once the person is cleansed and purified, the person is released from hell. God does not punish. God instructs. God's motivation is infinite love. I read a book years ago by the great palm reader Shiro. I learned how to tell if a person is suicidal by looking at his palm. I've saved 4 people from committing suicide when I looked at their palms. I started out talking about depression. They admitted that they had bouts of depression. Then I touched on suicide, and they also admitted having thoughts of suicide. Then I told them of the spiritual consequences of suicide, and they said, "Oh, I didn't know that. In that case, I won't kill myself." Now here is the amazing, wonderful, very simple, very easy technique. When you get a negative, bad thought or emotion, you don't take it personally. You don't get upset emotionally. You think to yourself, everything originally came out of God, pure and perfect. This thought that just came to me got dirty in its travels, and it's come to me to clean it. You then mentally surround the thought with light to clean it, and then send the clean thought up to God. The whole thing takes a few seconds. Since you didn't take it personally or get upset emotionally, the mind, being a bully, will not give you any more negative thoughts, since it got no reaction from you. You can then go about your life with wonderful peace, freedom, and harmony. In the case of a person who doesn't know this wonderful technique, when such a person gets a negative, bad thought or emotion and takes it personally and gets upset emotionally, the mind, being a bully, is then encouraged to give the person another negative thought or emotion. And that is the beginning of the downward spiral into depression. Knowing this technique has transformed the lives of people I've shared it with. I told the technique to a friend of mine. A week after I told him the technique, he was driving home from work, and as he approached the bridge, his mind said to him, "Drive off the bridge and kill yourself." He kept driving calmly and thought to himself, everything started out from God, pure and perfect, and this thought that just came to me got dirty in its travels, and it's come to me to clean it. He then mentally put light around the crazy thought to clean it and sent it up to God, pure and perfect. When he got home, he called me and told me he was able to keep driving with peace, calmness, and harmony. He said that if he had that crazy thought 2 weeks earlier, before I told him the technique, he would have pulled off to the side of the road to calm down. He would have thought, "I'm going crazy. I'd better see a psychiatrist." He would have been depressed for at least a week. He used the technique and was able to drive with peace, calmness, and harmony. It took just a few seconds. He said to me, "Jack, that technique was amazing. The whole world needs to learn it." I answered, "You're right. And I'm writing about the technique in the little 13.5-page book I just completed." After my mother passed on 7.5 years ago, I thought to myself that she and I learned amazing things, and I should write a small book about what we learned to help people all over the world. So I wrote a small 13.5-page book, and the first 4 pages tell the technique for dealing with problems of the mind. I met a man about 3 years ago who lives in Texas, and I gave him 4 copies of my little 13.5-page book because he counsels young people who are addicted to drugs and alcohol, and some of them are suicidal. He counseled a 20-year-old young man who was very depressed and suicidal. He counseled him for a year, but couldn't help him. The young man came to him and told him he was leaving Texas and going to live in another state. The counselor said, "I have a gift to give you before you leave." He then gave the young man a copy of my 13.5-page book. A year went by, and the suicidal young man returned to Texas, and he was very transformed. Happy, laughing, no longer depressed. A huge improvement. The counselor was amazed, and he asked the young man what brought about the wonderful positive change. The young man answered, that little book you gave me, those first 4 pages, my mind no longer gives me thoughts of suicide. To me, it must be divine grace that such a simple, easy technique can help people so miraculously. Right below this video, you can see a summary of this wonderful technique, and you can download it as well. Here is a summary of the technique. When you get a negative, bad thought or emotion, you don't take it personally and you don't get upset emotionally. You think to yourself, everything originally came out of God, pure and perfect. This negative thought that just came to me got dirty in its travels, and it's come to me to clean it. You then mentally surround the negative thought with light to clean it, and then send the clean thought up to God. Since the mind is a bully, it will not give you any more negative thoughts because you did not take the negative thought personally or react emotionally. And that summarizes the technique. Thank you very much for your attention. And God willing, you will get tremendous help using this technique. You don't have to take my word for it. Try it and see. It is amazing. Thank you. Thank you.